Alright, g'day everyone. Today's video is going to be a bit different. We're going to look at the new points changes, doing a list analysis. I've got 8 different lists to run through briefly with the new points changes and talk about how my previous list changed and the context of all the points changes and thoughts. Alright, cool. So I'll try to keep this short and sharp actually, and then in a future video, we might deep dive into a specific list that people are interested in or that I feel like I would like to play at an event. All right, pretty much. Let's go through it all. Shout out to Caleb Hastings, who does wonderful Seraphon videos for many years now. Please watch his videos. I'll link his YouTube channel below. He is definitely worth listening to. All right, overall points. What do I grade it? B minus or a C plus. Most of a lot of our units went down by 10 points. A couple of them went down by 20, and the rest didn't change. Nothing went up. Realm Shaper became free once again. No rules changes. So I graded a B minus at best, C plus probably at its worst, for the fact that we may not see much of an improvement with our win rate following the points adjustments. Externally, we might be better because a lot of the good armies came down. However, I don't think that it is going to allow us to win more games by having our lists cost 40 points to about 100 points less than they previously did, when the power imbalance is still quite vast. But hopefully we can improve from 42, 43% closer to 50, but I don't think we're going to hit the 50 before the major rules changes occurring at Christmas time. But it's still exciting. We can make new lists and we can still get wins. And I believe that we can 5-0 at events. We have, and I think we can do it more. Requires a lot of dedication. All right, and skill and luck. That goes with every list really. All right, points external. Yeah, externally I've just touched upon. We're essentially a very honest army, which is our weakness compared to almost every other army that has a lot of tricks up their sleeve. And we're currently just becoming a stat check army, which what that means is we don't have a lot of tricks. We just take a lot of meat on the board, and if armies have enough damage, they can just kill us, and if they don't, we might win. There's more nuance to it, but that is what we're becoming. That's what we don't want to be. That's not a Seraphon thing. All right, points, internal balance. Yeah, it's even more skewed now. So we'll talk about the winners. So the winners became Raptidons, Warriors, who went down, already relatively cheap for their costs, and now they went down again. The Realm Shaper becoming free is great. It should be. And Stegodons, Croak, and the Slann and the Star Priest all came down. I consider them the winners. They were already units that were being taken. So what that means is we're taking them again, even more. The losers are the models that we weren't taking anyway. So Rippers, Pterodons, the Trog, the things that we weren't already taking, we're not going to take because they stay the same cost. The Starseers still, points never got reverted, and Bastiladons didn't come down despite other monsters coming down, such as the Stegodons and our Soggy Kano coming down 20, which was very good for Thunder Lizard. Quakes. Alright, list archetypes, let's run through it. We have 3, I'll call it. Spam is a separate category, but we have our magic lists, which can be Sunclaw for our piling mortal wounds, or our teleport. So you're taking a Slann or a Croak for that. And often we're taking Raptidons, Warriors, and Crocs now because they're the three beneficiaries from points changes. Next, Thunderquake. So Thunderquake lists. Sorry, the Magic list. A lot of us consider them as castle lists, which they kind of are. But now we can fit a bit more speed with Raptidons. Thunderquake lists, like the one just here, it's always been a theme. They've come down in points, particularly if you take more Stegodons or engines. The Soggy Kano. Skink, relatively high tech. Yeah, so this is our high tech inverted commas build. It's relative because internally, yeah, it's got a lot of tech, but externally it doesn't really have much compared to other armies. But this is a list that I've played, Skink Tech list. Played against Archaon Varangard 1-drop and got the win because bowlers stopped Archaon from doing anything for 3 turns. They also stopped Varangard from doing anything, and having Chosen of Quetzal, which allows a skink unit to retreat at the start of combat, also denied Varangard from doing anything for an entire turn. So yeah, if everything's got to work, but we're rolling 3 ups and 4 ups to get everything to work, and it's all got to go off. Otherwise, as you can see, we might be lacking damage. But when it works, it works. Spam and stat checks. Okay, so lists. Okay, because our Raptidons and Warriors are cheaper now, you can just take as many as you want and say that's your list. We're not doing much but walking up the board and standing on circles. I've got an example over here. You can go more extreme than this and not take these expensive heroes, but that is a Ride of the Raptor Hero. So that is a list that you can take with a lot of wounds. Similarly, we'll talk about cheapest chips, which are 218 wound lists, where we can just take as many of these as we want with cheaper heroes. All right. I'm going to run through answering 3 questions from someone through the Discord quickly, because I do often get sent through questions, and sometimes I don't answer them immediately and just say I'll answer in the videos. So we've lost the questions now. I'm trying to find them. Here we go. So I find Life Routes to be a difficult map to play. Do you have any tips for this battle plan? What I might do with battle plans is that requires its own video. Life Routes. So this is Life Routes, which is the 2 objective battle plan that doesn't really appear in events because it's quite unique and very hard to police and patrol because of scoring with terrain. I think that we will dedicate a video to that with certain lists instead, or to battle plans in general. Next question was, what would be your plan for facing another castle army who have better abilities to do damage at range than Croak does? I did try to obscure my guard on my objective, but repetitively failed the roll. It's unlucky, and the Sentinels were able to whittle them down. Playing slow in this match felt like it handed him the advantage because he could do more damage at range, was faster, and so able to bring all his hard-hitting units in at once to gang up on my guard. Yeah, it's really hard. It's situational, but well done trying to get obscure in and standing on the circle. Obviously, that will stop their shooting completely, and then they'll just have to shoot at Croak, and they will be -1 to hit because you'll be within 3 inches, and you'll get guarded hero. And we don't mind if people shoot at Croak, as long as they are not shooting 2k worth of units at Croak or stripping his ward, which is becoming less prevalent now with the new points changes as well, such as with KO. Now it's a once per game, and they need visibility. Um, so so to answer that, with the how do you deal with it? Well, yeah, it's quite difficult. Which our magic extends beyond using Croak's Celestial Deliverance, and we're using our manifestations. It's not perfect, but that's how we can project magic damage. Taking Eternal instead of Sunclaw, so we do have a teleport, is also quite helpful and important. And that's why a lot of the builds I now just say Sunclaw or Eternal, even if I'm taking 1, 2, 3, 4 eligible Sunclaw pylons, still taking Eternal a lot of the time. Because now your opponent has to play a bit more cautious with their movements because they know you can drop something down somewhere. Um, and in terms of everything coming to the guard all at once, yeah. Often it's difficult. Positioning is good. Using terrain to your effect so people can't get everything in at once. It is a relatively small footprint. They can't get everything into it, but you want to countercast and just drop it in the spell. I have manifestation in front. Can be helpful. Question 3. The mortal wound output from Blade Lords chew through the guard much faster than normal. Makes sense because we don't like that. We prefer them to try to go through with rend that we can ignore. Whilst the defensive debuffs prevented me from being able to fight free and push forward with my units, do you have a plan B for when your castle end up getting bogged? Yeah, so if we get bogged in, it's difficult, but Eternal, our teleport, is an out there. But yeah, it is. It can be a good play by your opponent to recognize to try to bog us down. But we'll run through different lists, and I think that answer might be better answered in a different video when I run through a certain list and go through situations of when we get bogged down, what we can do, what we can do to prepare for it as well. Okay, cool. Let's just run through some lists. All right, I'll start with there's 8 to go through. What I've done here is I've got a Sunclaw, Eternal, Thunder, and a Shadow Strike here, and then a few others at the top. Vanilla Slan, this is quite what I would consider one of our more of a traditional list, how with Slan, Crocs, Warriors, and now Raptidons, which might have been Huanchi in the past. With points drops, we can fit all this in. Sunclaw for the Pylons, you could go Eternal, but we'll go on Sunclaw, Child of the Stars, Coatl, Purple Sun. So we're taking that manifestation law. Basically, got some blocks here. We've got quite a few charges and some hunters to at least give us +1 attack on the riders. They could be more charges with points. They can interchange in this list. I've taken Warspawn. These could be 6 Croxagore as well, but I've chosen Warspawn because I'm very likely to have a Raptidon unit synergizing to give the +1, and now I can fight against monsters, whereas everything else is Ren 1, but now we have a threat for monsters, a threat for chaff. We can bring back warriors. Warriors are wound efficient, although they're extremely limited. They have to stand on circles to be useful, and they really have to stand on circles to exist. And obviously the guard have to be within 3 of this guy. So we are limited with where we're sending. So these units and this unit can move around. These are more stationary holding objectives. Yep. Rogue tank font, I've called it. So this is the teleport, Child of the Stars, Retroseas on these guys, just to heal D3. It allows me to be full health to then enable a rally and to keep bringing it back if I need to. An Armor Cruncher on this guy, because I can pick a monstrous trait, and that's the best one for this guy, because we don't need +1 to hit. I've picked this could be either Bastillodon, but I actually think a Solar Engine works fine, good in this list, because it helps me project damage, whereas the only thing that can is Croak at the moment. So now we can, if he does 3 damage a turn, I'll be happy. And obviously, again, there's a bit of a theme going on. We've got a big block of warriors. We've got a Sunblood pack, which obviously synergize quite well, extremely well with guard and then with warriors, and very good against certain armies that do just a couple damage every phase. They're perfect against. They're not as good against an army that was described before, that just everything comes in at once. We have some speed with some charges. I won't talk about uh, battle tactics necessarily. They all have battle tactics with their lists, and I can even post the lists as well after the video so people can look at them specifically. Okay. Moving on. Thunder Lizard. Obviously, we take the Emerald Life Swarm manifestation law. So basically, what we've got is Beastmaster for speed, Retrocede to heal, Ancient for +1 to hit. We've taken a Wizard. We haven't taken the Trog because he didn't go down in points, and these fit well. So this entire list. So Agrodons, and then we've got a couple Stegodons, and there's an engine. And then there's another engine. So we have 2 engines, 2 Stegodons, a Stegodon Chief, an Archosotek. So obviously we're healing here, we're healing here, we're healing here, and spell law healing too. And we have shooting attack, shooting attack, shooting attack as well into monsters. Alright, next. I think there are other variants of Thunderquake, Thunder Lizard lists, but this is one that fits well and I think works well. Skink Tech, okay. So basically what we're doing here is oh, it takes a whole video. But basically what we're doing with this is we're trying to use our combinations that we've got. So one of the Stegodon Chiefs will have chosen a Quetzal, which means if one of my skink units is in combat on a 3-up, they can just move 8 inches and not be attacked. So that is great if I get charged into by anything, and I can just flee away and trick them. Obviously, I can deep strike down, and if someone redeploys out of my shooting range, I can then move D6 and get close and then shoot them. Or if they don't, I can shoot them and then D6 back. We've talked about how bowlers want to 1v1 people. Okay, the tech to the list is, let's just say, we'll use the Varangard as an example. Varangard comes in, the ideal situation is we have Skinks, we have this guy, Skinks, Varangard, and that's the only option we give them. We've also done something along the lines of we've shot at the Varangard, ideally. Varangard are charging 1 inch, they move 3 inches away. We do the redeploy, we roll 2 dice, we pick one, hopefully we roll a 4 or 5 or 6. We'll just say we rolled poorly. They go there, they need a 6-inch charge because we moved back 3. Let's just say that they do get it. So we failed the first check, which is the 3-up we failed, they still got in. So there's 1 check here to get. It's another check here, which is the redeploy. Let's say we failed all this, they get in. The next check is a 3-up, move 8 inches. And then situationally, you would actually have this guy these at 12 inches when I do that. And that, 8 inches, the Vanguard can't pile in and hit anyone. Then that's another check. If I failed that, then I failed all 3, or maybe 2 out of the 3, and I lose the unit. Great. Let's just say I didn't. They moved back. Vanguard sit here. We have the whole army to do something to the Vanguard in my turn. Or let's say Vanguard kills them, but we lose them. Vanguard to here, and then we've got the whole army. So we try to trade up, or we just avoid fights completely. Now, what do we do against the Vanguard when they're here? Okay. These guys would have been in the sky. They drop down to shoot. That's one thing. Make them -1 to wound, possibly. Next, these guys are shooting. They might do 1 damage, we'll say. We might drop another unit for 1 damage. These guys are trying to shoot to do a single point of damage to make them -1 save. But the first thing you do with the shooting is, the order is, birds, shout at them, beat their control score on a D3, no CP onto Vanguard, not allowed all-out defense. Next, these guys shoot, -1 save. Then these guys shoot, -1 wound. Then these guys shoot 1d6 charge and a bit of damage. Okay, now, these guys shoot with there'll be 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, or 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. But it's actually -2, and they can't all out defense. Then what are we doing? Alright, the chosen Quetzal guy comes in, charges. He's either doing 0 mortal wounds on the charge or 4 or 5 with his rule. I just got to roll a 2 up. So we do 5 mortal wounds, pop a Vanguard. They charge in with him. Cool. We do combat. We'll fight with Stegadon first. He fights. Excellent. Job done. Vanguard. So in my game, there were only 3 left after this entire combo. We are all, yeah. Also, that is not correct. We actually have Purple Sun in this list 100% of the time because that's another former rend and that fits in the points as well. That is what should be in here. If Purple Sun was in, yeah, the -2 save, but that didn't happen in reality. What are we doing here? Vanguard hit back, 3 Vanguard off the charge. We all out defense. They focused on these guys because these guys are attacking next. These guys actually live like that. Cool. Powered through backwards with him. Killed another one because they already had taken damage, and now there is only 2 left in combat. Priority roll, they win priority, they take the turn. Let's say Arcane's over here. He's been harassed by these guys 1v1, and he just can't do anything because they keep redeploying. Over here, Vanguard are locked in combat. They do all their movements, or they don't shoot, then they do their charges. Now it's combat. They say they want to activate the Vanguard. You say, excuse me, I just need to do my ability. I'm wholly within 12. On a 3-up, he runs away. Vanguard just sit there doing nothing. Wasted their turn. So that's the tech that we're using with this army. Also, this is 41 shots. 4s and 4s. -1, can't CP. That can actually pip a Vanguard, and that's where we're actually doing a bit of our secret damage. 82 attacks with all of them onto the Vanguard. Alright, that's that list. Alright, let's talk about 4 other lists. First of all, a spam list. Take as many Raptidons as you want. Self-explanatory. It's kind of funny. We're just playing Rohan at the moment from Lord of the Rings. Slime can bring some back, a bit of magic. This guy's a bit of a threat and can make the opponent, can make these -2 rend effectively. Little wizard, because his Serpent Fang can increase the damage of these guys with auto crit hits on 6s. Alright, over here. Yeah, if anyone has enough Raptidons to do that, well done. Good job. You should. Games Workshop allowed you to do it. Crocs City list. Okay, so this is my Slan with Crox's list. This is where we're trying to buff Crox's as much as we can. So the buffs are make an MSU Crocs and a big wall spawn so we can deal with whatever we like to. The MSU works well because if we happen to roll a 4-up, we can bring 2 back. Great. I haven't said if it's Eternal or not. It can be either. Eternal, Sunclaw. It's up to you. You want to teleport because we're slow? Sure. If you think your opponent's just going to come in, well, if you think that you're just going to brawl every game you play, you just take Sunclaw and do your pile-in damage. What's the tech? These guys ignore the first point of damage every phase. 6-up ward. Now our effective health increases. This guy, he's just powering up, and then we want to bring back 1 model for every unit for 3 units. Or if we don't need to do that, then strike first with everyone. So that's the tech. That's as tanky as we can make Croxagore. Over here, I'll talk about this. So this is Croak with the Croxagore. I've given Child of the Stars to these guys so that he can just once per game with an extra dice cast. What have we done? We can do this, but we've decided to go a little bit more MSU. The fact that these guys, I can again ignore point of damage, and if we do Sunclaw, it's really good. But I'll probably take Eternal with Croak because we like to teleport things around, and especially Crocs being a threat. Basically, we've got a lot of wounds here. we're quite tanky and a lot of wounds here, and we're ignoring a little bit of damage here. I actually quite like this list. You can take either or. Sometimes it's nice just putting out Purple Sun and Gravetide turn 1 when they give you turn 1. And then you've got multiple endless spells, but it's also nice putting out the Cron Spine. So, nice list. Obviously, weakness is speed, but we can take a teleport. Now, cheapest chips, 218 wounds. Yeah, so I just picked cheap 90-point heroes, some Sunclaw, obviously big blocks, and lots of these guys. So that's a stat check, different type of spam list. That is all I wanted to cover. I wanted to run through these so people get ideas about what they could build. And I think that people wanted to see a specific list, or if they had other lists that they thought were great, let me know. I want to do a video about a list in particular, maybe going through battle plans, or even do a battle report. I'll play a game, and I think the way I'll do it is I'll just have the screenshot at the end of every turn and then talk over it and say what I did and what I thought and how I reacted to my opponent and how I was proactive. I think that would be quite helpful, and it would be more of a succinct video, just talking over screenshots at the end of each turn. Cool. All right, that's it for me.